Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. And here I am with you on the second day of the new year, 2024. And I mentioned yesterday that some people have what they call New Year's resolutions. I don't make any of those. And my guess is most of you listening to me don't either. So, what I want to talk about this week, continuing with yesterday, is not some resolutions you could think of, but we'll call them New Year's thoughts. Thoughts that should be a part of our thinking throughout this coming year. How about that? And today I want to talk about a couple of thoughts really, that come from Jeremiah's letter called the Lamentations. It comes right after the book of Jeremiah. And it says in chapter 3, beginning with verse 22, the steadfast love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh each morning. I say to myself, the Lord is my inheritance. Therefore, I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who depend on him and to those who search for him. Now, those are some good thoughts. Starts out, it says, the steadfast love of the Lord never ends. Now, there's a qualifying word there. You see it? It's called never. And you know what that means? It means that there are no exceptions. There's no situation. There's no experience. There's nothing that will interfere with God's faithful love to you. Now, it might feel like that has happened. And I've been there. I know those moments are awful. But God's love is still there. It says, his steadfast love never ceases, and his mercies never end. Now, this statement is made to you and to me from God, not based on anything we do or did or might do. It's based solely on his character, who he is. And he says to us, never, ever, ever will that happen. They will never stop. They will never end. Whether we recognize them or not doesn't matter. Whether we see signs of God's love around us doesn't matter. It's still there. Now, he goes on and explains this a little bit. First thing he says, great is the faithfulness of God. Great is his faithfulness. Would somebody say that about you? Great is your faithfulness. Well, some of you listening, yeah, people might say that. Others, well, maybe not. But God's faithfulness, faithfulness means he is always there. You're never alone. Even if you feel alone, you're never alone. His faithfulness, great is it, and his mercies begin afresh each morning. That means that today, God's mercies are new towards you. Now, if you thought yesterday they weren't, okay. If you thought 3 days ago they weren't, Okay. If you thought, well, they've never been around. Okay. You can think whatever you want to think. Doesn't mean it's true. What's true here is that his mercies begin afresh, all over, in a new way, every morning, every day that you get up. The moment your mind becomes awake and your body starts to moan and crow, oh, please, let me stay in the bed, or something like that. That morning, that moment, God's mercies towards you are new. And he goes on to say, I will say to myself, the Lord is my inheritance. What's an inheritance? Well, an inheritance is something you get from somebody else. You don't earn an inheritance. Now, in the Old Testament, the oldest brother, son, he got the inheritance. The rest of them got nothing. In our world of equality or supposed equality, we would say that was terrible. But that's the way they organized it back in the Old Testament. But here it says that the Lord is my inheritance. He is what I receive, not because I earned it. He just gave it to me. Therefore, I will hope in him. I've said it before, but it's been a while. A long time ago, a Bible teacher said, if you see a therefore, you ought to see what it's there for. That's good advice. I like that. So, what is it there for? Well, it tells us that the Lord is my inheritance. I will hope in him. And it says, let me read it here again. This would be verse 25. The Lord is good to those who depend on him and who search for him. Yes, God will find you even in the worst circumstances. And if he's never found you that you know of, okay, but he will. He's still looking. He's not going to walk away. But here is where it says that the Lord sticks with those who say, I hope in him. Who do you hope in if not God? Yourself? Somebody else? The government? Where is your hope placed? Here in the church, we've had a number of people that have experienced some very significant physical illnesses. And we constantly pray for them and we pray for their healing. And actually, a couple of them have gotten healed. The others have gotten better. There's no one yet who hasn't experienced a betterment of their situation after we've prayed. Now, does that mean we have a 100% track record praying for healing? No. But it does say that God hears us and he will hear you. So this coming year, here's the thought to think about. God's faithfulness and his mercies never end. And if I will walk with him, he will hear everything I ask about. Absolutely. I invite you to think about that today and maybe in the coming weeks. If you have a need or a concern, let us know. We'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. So until tomorrow, God bless you. I'll talk to you again.